Hi, welcome to another Malicious Compliance episode of StorytimeGuru. In this episode, we will read 3 of the best malicious compliance stories. Our first episode is titled, Don't Believe Me When I'm Sick? Enjoy Your Flu. Our second episode is titled, Change Your Child's Fair Ribbon? Are you sure? Our third episode is titled, Get My Manager? No problem. Hope you like it. If you like my content, please support my channel by clicking like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell. Don't believe me when I'm sick? Enjoy your flu. Posted by Help. How do I choose? Hello. Just tested positive for a bad cold and was reminded of this story that happened about a year ago. For background, when I was in college I started getting terrible allergies. People usually don't view allergies as ever being severe enough not to be active and do things, but mine kicked me in the butt to the point I would just tell people I was sick, so they'd be more understanding when I would cancel plans. Now I've been out of college for years and have a way better handle on my allergies, so this does not happen anymore. So last year my roommates and I had a big plan around Thanksgiving of having people over, and my roommate's mom was going to come visit. I wake up the morning of the party terribly sick, huge headache, body aches, congestion, and nausea. Obviously I'm sick, so I tell my roommates, and we have to cancel. They're beyond mad at me and I can't figure out why, until they tell me they think I'm just over-exaggerating my allergies. We argue and in the end they tell me that I still need to cook and clean like in our roommate contract. Normally when I'm sick I confine myself to my bedroom so as not to get anyone sick, but they were so insistent I decided I didn't care. Want me to put away clean dishes? Sure. Make some hamburger helper? No problem. You want to use my bathroom? I see no problem with that. I have to clean parts of the apt? How about I just clean the whole thing? Now I definitely didn't do anything gross like spit on food and made sure to wash my hands. But if you're around someone with the flu long enough. I watched in satisfaction and my 2 roommates both came down with the flu as I got better. Don't care about my health? Then I won't be careful about yours. We are all healthy people in our 20s, and I definitely wouldn't do anything like that now, especially with how seemingly healthy people can be ruined by a bad cold, but damn, it was satisfying at the time. TLDR, roommates think I am faking being sick. Make me continue the cooking and cleaning schedule. I go above and beyond. They get sick, I laugh. Best reply by Melodic. Carpenter 7. I once had a manager that insisted I absolutely needed to come into work with the flu because he didn't believe I was actually that sick. I was on the verge of quitting already, so I didn't really care if I got fired or not, so I told him I would come into work if, and only if, he would let me cough in his mouth. He let me stay home. Change your child's fair ribbon? Are you sure? Posted by Tom_Marvolo_Tomato. TL, Doctor at the bottom. Back in the late 1980s, I was invited to help judge the vegetable contest in a neighboring county for their 4-H fair. Nowadays, we judge the garden entries by interviewing the child, discovering what things they learned working in their garden, and giving them bonus points for nice-looking vegetables. Back then, the job was not quite as simple. Each crop had different score sheets, and different points were awarded for different attributes. Were the tomatoes ripe? Were the beets trimmed? Were they all uniformly sized? Etc. Each scorecard totaled to about 50 points. If a card totaled 45 or more points, they got a blue ribbon. If the card totaled 35 to 45, they got a red ribbon. 25 to 35 was a white ribbon, and below that got a tiny green participation ribbon. Not only did we not get to interview the kids back then, but in fact, nobody was supposed to be in the building with us while we judged. This is important. Anyway, I got started. I was looking at green, snap, beans first. There had to be 20 on each plate. The beans had to be uniform, all straight, or all curved. Their stems had to be trimmed to less than ½ inch. Lots and lots of rules, and I had maybe 40 or 50 plates of beans to look at. I'm working along, minding my own business. I did notice several people walking through the building, fair officials, most likely. Most of them ignored me, and so I returned the favor. But one woman, we'll call her Brumhilda, stopped and watched me work for a while. She asked me what the points meant, and I, being a good educator, explained that each attribute was rated 1 to 10, and that this plate got an 8 for uniform shape, a 6 for stem trimming, a 9 for cleanliness, and so on. She seemed okay with my explanation and left. Next, I'm working on sweet peppers. Again, I had 40 or 50 plates to examine, and was now rating them for uniform size, uniform shape, uniform color, same number of bumps on the bottom, etc. Brumhilda stops by again and watches me for a bit. She then points to a plate I had already finished and asked why it got only 40 points. Being a good educator, I explained the points I gave for that plate: 7 for not quite uniform size, 4 for different colors, greens and partial reds, etc. She humphed and left. I move on to other veggies, scoring and grading as I go, and every so often, Brumhilda would come back and question what I was doing and why I was scoring what I was scoring. I tried to remain polite and explain what I was doing, but I was beginning to notice she was asking about specific plates. All of the names and personal identification were hidden from the judges, so I didn't know whose plate was whose, but apparently, she did. I was beginning to get a little annoyed with her constant questions, and became more annoyed when she suggested I was being too tough on my judging. That cucumber is trimmed just fine. Why are you picking on that poor kid? At one point, I mentioned that I was supposed to be in the room by myself, and that I shouldn't be talking with anyone, and I didn't want her to get in trouble for disrupting a judge. See, I can be tactful. Brumhilda sniffed at me. Don't worry about me. I'm the wife of the fair board secretary, or something. Nobody will dare to say anything to me. Fine, I continue on with my judging. After a long while, I was doing my last crop, tomatoes. I was nearly done, when Brumhilda swooped in again, this time with a young boy in tow. The kid was looking around, picking his nose, and altogether didn't seem to care about anything being judged. Brumhilda looked over the plates, and then screeched at me, "Why did that plate get a red ribbon? What is wrong with those tomatoes? Those are excellent looking tomatoes to me." Now, don't get me wrong, these were perfectly fine tomatoes, if I was going to slice them up and eat them, but compared to the other tomato entries, they weren't quite up to snuff, certainly not what anyone would call a blue ribbon tomato. She continued screeching at me about how unfair I was being, and I finally had enough. "Let me understand, you don't think these are red ribbon tomatoes?" "No," she snarled. "You want me to change the ribbon?" "Of course I do," she said smugly. "Fine. I will," and I did. I took off the red, second place, ribbon, and put on a green thank you for showing up and participating ribbon. Then I turned to her son. "Young man, 4-H is meant to be an educational association, and you are supposed to learn something. I hope you learn to leave your mother home next year." And with that, I gathered up my scorecards and walked out. As I was leaving the garden crops building, I looked back. The boy was still looking around aimlessly, not caring about anything going on. But Brumhilda looked like a catfish someone had hooked and left on the side of the creek, her mouth opening and closing and her throat puffing up, like she was gasping for water. I don't think anyone in her entire entitled life had ever talked back to her before. I turned my scorecards in, collected my judge's fee, and never heard a word from anyone at that county fair about taking Brumhilda down a peg or 3. TL, Doctor, Karen was upset that she got a second place ribbon and asked the judge to change her ribbon. The judge gave her a participation ribbon instead. Edit, thank you for the awards. Edit 2, added TL, Doctor at bottom. Best reply by Photonics Guy. It sounds like she grew the vegetables, not her son. Get my manager? No problem. Posted by sad_little_sponge13. I've been floating on this subreddit for a while and finally decided to share a recent experience that has become my favorite so far. For context, I'm a PSA/U.M. Passenger Services / Unaccompanied Minor Assisted, in an airport. To put it simply, I help both minors, elder and the disabled to their next flight. This didn't happen to me directly, but I was somewhat involved and it was funny. This happened just yesterday. I was assisting a disabled woman in one of the airport wheelchairs with possibly finding a seat on the flight as she was on standby. As I'm explaining the situation to my passenger, a heated discussion breaks out between the gate agents and a high-quality Karen. The agents are trying to explain to her that per the airline's policy, masks must fully cover your face from your nose down and the bandana over her face was not good enough, and they could give her a proper one. Karen argues that she has had this mask on for the past 3 flights and it was never a problem. The gate agent severely doubts her claim. The arguing continues for a minute more before Karen uses the signature line, "Can you go get your manager? I want to speak to someone who knows how to do their job." The gate agent says you got it and almost skips away to find her manager. They both come back over and the manager addresses Karen one more time, as the agent had already given him a quick rundown of the situation. "Manager, ma'am, per whatever airline's policy your mask must cover your nose and mouth fully, hanging facials close. Gas masks and masks with valves are not permitted. We have extras to give you if you need one, Karen, so basically you don't know how to do your job either." The manager breathes a quick sigh, says okay and take over the computer for about 5 minutes before waving me and my passenger on to board the flight. It wasn't until I walked out of the jet lane and seen Karen still standing in the waiting area that it dawned on me. The manager had taken Karen's seat and given it to my passenger who was on standby. Judging from the screaming and cursing after that door closed, Karen didn't realize it right away either. Edit, wow, thanks so much for the awards. You guys are awesome. Best reply by Sam_Pool. That's such an appropriate way to deal with the situation too. If you like my content, please support my channel by clicking like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell.